configure the server security, web security, everything actually. So security realm is nothing but it is one of the security configuration inside the WebLogic server. It's a security configuration for the WebLogic server domain and applications actually. So as admin, how I am going to protect my WebLogic server security, that is what we are going to see in our today's class. Defaultly, the WebLogic server will use as a embedded LDAP database. In the introduction class, I discussed about this embedded LDAP. In general, what is meant by LDAP means LDAP stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. It is a lightweight database used to store the text-based data. Text data means that can be username, passwords, like that. Some type of text-based data will be stored inside this LDAP actually. So basically, LDAP is a protocol like TCP/IP, like UDP. LDAP is a protocol actually. So LDAP stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. It is a protocol used to fetch the lightweight data. The embedded LDAP is a database which comes with each and every WebLogic installation. This embedded LDAP will be in a form of file. Under that, the WebLogic administrator's username and password will be stored. We cannot have the control over that actually. We cannot have the control over that. We can just view the file, that's all. We cannot administrate the LDAP. That's why it is called as embedded LDAP. So WebLogic security configuration, which is called as security realm, that uses the embedded LDAP database. And the total WebLogic security, not even a WebLogic security, WebLogic, WebSphere, JBoss, you talk about any Java server, wherever Java comes, you want to configure a security for the Java application or Java server or Java program or Java app. In Java programming, there is one API called JAS. Using this one only we can configure the security. JAS stands for Java based authentication and authorization service. So in the J2EE, we discussed JDBC, JNDA, JMS in the previous classes. Now we are discussing about this JAS actually. So JAS is one of the Java programming. So using this JAS only, WebLogic team who invented WebLogic, they configured the WebLogic level server security. Why means WebLogic itself made up of Java technology. The purpose of WebLogic is a J2EE application server. So using this JAS, the Java programmers will call an API called Java X.Security API. So using this JAS only, the total WebLogic security is configured. So now let's go for the security realm. So whenever we install a WebLogic server, it comes with the default security that is called as MyRealm actually. So it uses embedded LDAP. So in order to understand the security realm, the simple scenario is, this is a diagram what I prepared for my students actually. I am starting WebLogic. If you are starting WebLogic, it is asking for the username and password here. It's asking for the username and password. After typing the username and password, if username and password is correct, then server is going to the starting state. From starting, it will goes to the standby, again starting, and at last it is coming to the running state. From admin resume, at last it is coming to the running state actually. So if username and password is correct, then only the server is booting. Okay, after the username and password is correct, the server is booted, you are going to the admin console. In admin console, you are logging in with your username and password. So if I type a wrong username and password, it won't allow me to log in. If I type the username and password correct, it will allow me to log in. So all these usernames and passwords, everything will be done. All the validation, everything will be done only by means of the security realm actually. That is called as MyRealm. So how that process will happen means it is a purely internal Java process. We should try to understand logically. We cannot see that it will be happen internally in the program. So that process only it is picturized in this diagram. So whenever as admin, if you try login using your username and password in the admin console, once you select this login button, the request will be goes to the WebLogic security realm. So there is nothing but here the MyRealm. So inside this MyRealm, we have the security providers. authenticator, authorization, adjudication, role mapping, credential mapping, etc. So the request will be goes to the security provider. In the security provider, first it is received by the authenticator. What is meant by authentication in general? Username and password is correct or not. If you check, that is called as authentication. That is what this default authenticator will do. It will receive the admin type username and password, connect to the embedded LDAP. The LDAP it will check whether the username and password is correct or not. If yes, the LDAP will give the response to the authenticator. What authenticator will do? Authenticator will take the username and password, and if the username and password is no, immediately it will throw the output you are an invalid user or unauthenticated user. If username and password is correct, from the authenticator it will goes to the authorization. So what authorization will do? Authorization will take the validated username and password and send to the role mapper actually. What role mapper will do? Role mapper will take the validated username and password and send to the pre-groups. There are various types of groups will be having actually. So whoever interacts with the WebLogic server, in general we call it as WebLogic admin, but according to their years of experience, their interaction with the WebLogic will be varies. The WebLogic groups are classified into like this. Up to WebLogic server 8.1 version, we have only 4 groups: administrator, operator, monitor, deployer. What is administrator means? Administrator is a super user. He can create, delete, edit a new server, new app, new JDBC, A to Z he can do. So whenever we create a domain, it is asking for the username and password. That username and password, whatever we are giving, the default belongs to the administrator group. Another one is called as operator. Operator can only perform lifecycle operations of the server. What is lifecycle operations of the server means? Starting and stopping the servers and status of the applications and clusters. See, A to Z, if you log in, you can just watch what all the things happening. You cannot do any new things. And fourth one is called as deployer. Deployer can only deploy the applications. So that is what the deployer can do. These are all the 4 things we have in WebLogic 8.1. Later WebLogic versions got increased. We have got WebLogic 9 and 10 version. So we have got these 3 extra groups: admin, channel user, app tester, and cross domain connector. What is admin channel user means? Admin channel user will block and unblock the user access. Admin channel user will block and unblock the user access actually. So that is what the admin channel user will do. So that will be done by app tester means this login is for the performance testers actually. This login is for the performance testers. 9 and 10 they can do. And from WebLogic groups. So whenever a username and password admin is logging in, that will be received by the authenticator. Authenticator will connect to the embedded LDAP. If the username and password is presented yes, authenticator will send the request to the authorization. Authorization will take the validated username and password, send to the role mapper. Role mapper will take the validated username and password and send to the group section. So in the groups, whether the username and password belongs to operator or monitor, it will confirm. Then with that username and password with the group monitor, it will goes to the credential mapper. Username and password to the authenticator. A task authenticator will log in action. So all this process will happen within a fraction of seconds. And we have LDAP access. And auditor. Auditor is used for monitoring. It is for the high level security concept that is called as identity management actually. So this is what the process which will happen. So now with this existing realm, whenever we create a WebLogic, we have that realm that is called as my realm actually. Where these files will be stored in the WebLogic means. So this is the place where we created a domain. This is the domain. In the domain, if you go to the server, under the server, if you go to the admin server, you have a folder called data. Under the data, you can find LDAP. In this LDAP, all these files are the embedded LDAP files. All these files are the embedded LDAP files actually. So this will be comes here actually. And apart from that, in the same domain, inside the domain itself, we can find a security folder. Under that, you can see leave this serialized system ini.dat. Other files you will be having actually. So all these 1, 2 and 4th file, all these 4 files are called as LD files. All these 4 files are called as LD files, which is used for storing the LDAP usernames and passwords and data. So this one we cannot open and see because it's an embedded one. And if you go to the MyRealm in the providers, you can able to see the authenticator, authorization, adjudication, role mapping, auditing, credential mapping. And this password validation also a new option comes from WebLogic 10G onwards. That means the length of the password for a WebLogic admin should be minimum 8 length actually. The length of the password for the WebLogic admin should be minimum 8 length. For that purpose this will be used. For that purpose this will be used actually. So that is this one. So that is this one. So these are the total groups actually. Now apart from that we have certificate path and key store, that is for the SSL. So that is for the SSL purpose. So that one we will talk later in the SSL configuration. So the certificate path and key stores defaultly used for, here you can see the users and groups, because the security realm, MyRealm is used for all 3 types of security: server security, application security, web security. But here we are discussing in today's session only server security. But as admin, admin will taking care of server security and web security. Application security as admin we are not taking care. But if the app developer forgot to implement application security while developing the application, in that situation they can configure the app security with the security realm. For that these roles and policies and all used actually. But here we are just discussing only the server security. That is users and groups. Here you can see the default user test and group actually. So group is nothing but these are all the groups actually. So administrator, deployer, monitor, operator, admin channel user, app tester, cross domain connector, and Oracle system group. So here I just want to, and then here you can see defaultly at the time of creating the domain I created the username test only. I am going to create a new user. The username is, for example, T1 is a user. It will be defaultly authenticated with the authenticator. The password should be minimum 8 length. So I'm giving the same password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. I'm just click create. After creating this user T1, suppose if I want to log in using T1, I cannot log in because I created a user T1, but I didn't assign whether the T1 belongs to operator or monitor or administrator. So I cannot able to log in actually. So you go to this my security realm, MyRealm. In that, if you go to the users and groups, here get into the T1 user. You want to change the password, you can change, or else no need. Attributes are optional. Go to these groups. In the groups you have to assign. For example, I want to assign the T1 user as operator group. Just select operator and click save. So once you save this, now you try to log in. So now I can able to log in. If you log in as operator, the lock and edit will be gone. And if you go to the environment in servers, you can see you cannot create a new server, no lock and edit. In control tab, you have the option start or resume or suspend. So this is what an operator job will do. In your industry, what is the job of a machine operator? Starting and stopping the machine. The same way here, the WebLogic is a logical machine. Not to start and stop the WebLogic, we need a WebLogic operator. Apart from that, he cannot do anything. If you go to the cluster, he cannot create a new cluster. If you go to the deployments, he cannot do any deployments. No option to install. Or for example, if you go to the data source, you want to create a JDBC data source, you cannot create. Nothing can be done. Only start and stop the server. Even if you go to the security realm, my realm, he cannot see the other users. Only operator can perform start and stop the server. So I'm creating another user for the deployer. We can add, for one user we can add more than one privileges also. So that is also possible. Just to understand the difference, we are just discussing this one. So I'm going to T2 groups. I'm assigning that to the deployer. So for deployer you will get lock and edit, but if you go to the environment servers, go to the control, he cannot start and stop the server, so that is not possible. If you go to the cluster, you cannot create a cluster, but if you go to the deployments, you can able to deploy a new application and start and stop the application. That he can possible. And for that application, if you want to create a data source, that is not possible. Only already a data source is created, he can delete. And for example, if you want to create a JMS server, you can create a JMS server. So configuring the new things can be done by using deployer. Only a deployment related configuration like JDBC, JMS, those things we can do. But if you go to the security realm, in users and groups, you cannot see other users also. Now I am assigning as a monitor come app tester. 2 privileges I can assign. No, not a problem. And click save. Monitor can only watch, he cannot do any new things. App tester, if application is deployed, he can access the application using URL. So I log in as a monitor come app tester. If you go to the control, you don't have any start and stop control to the server, and you don't have any control to the cluster. If you go to the deployment, you cannot deploy the application already deployed. Get into the application in the testing tab and you can access the URL. And the security realm also the same. You don't have any control to security. Only you can watch. So usually when you join as a WebLogic admin, initially you will get only this monitoring access for 2-3 days or 1 week to study the WebLogic. You should not do any new configuration without knowing the application deployment. The current application what is deployed already in your WebLogic, you don't know about your project. So in that case, immediately they won't give the overall administrator access. They'll be giving only monitoring access actually. So for that you will be getting this one. So if you go to the groups, for example, you can create your own group actually. For example, I'm creating a group in the name called WLS_HID. So it will be defaultly authenticated by the authenticator. If you get into the group should have the membership. What membership means? Any of these predefined groups. So I'm giving all these privileges. So app tester, deployer, monitor, operator. Except administration privileges, creating a new user, blocking the user, all those things. Or if you want, you can do admin channel user also. Admin channel user cannot be viewed through admin console. You can do that one. And cross domain connector also you can do. Only administrator and Oracle system group. Instead of that, I need to give all other privileges. In all these privileges, you cannot create a new username for the administrator. Only administrator can do that. Admin channel user can block, or cross domain connector can log into other WebLogic portal servers. But creating the new username and password cannot be done. Only administrator can do. For the WebLogic server, in order to create a new administration username and password, that can be done only by using administrator. After that, you can go to the users and groups. Here I want to create a new user. So just get into the T5 groups. In the groups, you can select this. Let's save this configuration. Now you log in as a T5. You will get lock and edit. If you go to the environment, you have the operator access, so you can start and stop the server, and you can deploy the application because you have a deployer access, and you can able to create JMS or JDBC configurations. But if you go to the security realm, if you get into the my realm, if you go to the users and groups, you cannot view the other users. So that security part alone prohibited. So like that also, for one user I can assign multiple privileges. That can be also done actually. And usually in a production environment, instead of using this embedded LDAP, we will be using a third-party LDAP actually, like Active Directory, iPlanet, Oracle Internal Directory, like that. So in that case, we need to create a new realm. Or existing realm also we can use. If you are creating a new realm, as admin, we need to create all these things. If you get into the realm, you cannot have in the providers, you don't have authenticator. You need to create a new authenticator for that external LDAP. You need to create authorization. So nothing will be there. You need to create everything from scratch. So that one, when you are entering into the project, depends upon the LDAP. You can able to learn actually by interacting with the identity management team. Identity management team means they are the security team for the companies actually. So like that we can do. So this about the security realm.